start recording. So, this prologue, this journey, the story of... All these tokens are still here, that's really funny. The story and prologue of Varnast begins without those 7 people, for one, and begins rather peacefully on this ship with some people who are merely just friends or just working companions, people who you know and you trust your life with, but just because you know that they're accomplished and they know how to wield the blade or shoot a bow. However, there are 2 people on this ship currently that you are fairly good friends with. 2 people that you have gotten to know over the past year and a half on your journeys who, well, and you 3 have had some pleasantries together and rather enjoy each other's company. You sit on the edge of the ship, sort of taking in the waves as they crash onto the side of the ship, feeling that mist hit your face, that connection you have with not only the sea, but the sky as well. Keeping an eye on the horizon, looking for any storm clouds, any messages, anything. Clear skies right now, but you can always hope for a good storm later. However, as you are sitting there looking over, you feel a thump on the back of your back, and this gruff voice says, "Hey, what are you doing? What are you trying to? And you see him like look at you, and he's trying to come up with something, and then he just kind of deflates, and he's like, all right, I couldn't think of anything. I'm sorry. I wanted to, whatever. And you can see Brez, who's has just a normal tunic and pants on right now. No armor or weapons on him or anything. He has 2 tankards, one in his left and one in his right, and he hands you the one that's in his left, standing by your side, looking over the bow of the stern of the ship, and he says, "So what are you doing out here? I never was much for looking at rolling waves, but you seem to do it a lot. Is there a reason? I don't want to judge or anything, but..."
So Varnast kind of laughs, and he takes the tankard and takes a pretty big, healthy sip before kind of pulling it back down slightly, and he gives Brez a little bit harder than normal punch, just to kind of get back at him.
All right, I deserve that.
Well, if you're truly curious, there's multiple reasons. One, making sure we don't have any sudden reefs come up. It's a needless habit, but one that I got into after a ship that I was on when I was young ran afoul of it. Secondly, I'm remaining diligent. Justitia always rewards those who remain their diligence. The sea can be quite unforgiving for the underprepared.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense too. Yeah.
You didn't come up with any reason for yourself before you came over to ask me? You must have suspected something.
I mean, I don't know, I thought maybe you were hot and the mist felt nice. That sounds really stupid now.
Well, the mist actually helps quite a bit. It is always quite refreshing and makes me feel better.
All right, look at that. I got, Dara always says that I never think things through enough, but now I have proof that at least in this one instance, it's one very tiny, insignificant instance, I at least have one proof that I did at least think something through a little bit.
Not that I'll ever admit it to her if she asks me.
Okay, all right. Okay. All right. You got it. You win, I guess.
So what I always liked about you, Brez, you're a good sport about these things. And gives him a lighter punch on the shoulder this time before downing the rest of his drink.
All right. Listen, I did want to ask you about something serious, though.
Oh. Yeah, what's going on?
Well, obviously, you have known Dara and I for quite some time. We fought together. We've done some things together. And I know, I know this sounds really silly, and really stupid, but do you think that, um, that maybe, Dara might, and as he goes to look at you, his eyes go wide, and as you sort of look at him and then give a quizzical look and then look behind you, you see standing next to you on your other side is Dara, who's just kind of leaning over the stern and just kind of looking at him and says, do you think Dara... What, Brez? What do you think? Finish your thought. I'd love to hear it. And Brez kind of... Yes, Captain. Sorry, did you say something? And Brez just kind of moves away and just kind of like aimlessly looking. Did someone need my help? And Dara looks to you and looks back up to Brez. What a dunce, right?
Nah. Perhaps a little slow in the head, but his heart has always been in the right place.
No, you're right, And I'd never have doubted his heart. Never have I ever done that. However, there have been a multitude of times where a little bit of planning and foresight from him could have been very helpful. I'm sure that you remember that pirate captain, what was that, 6 months ago in the Gemstone Archipelago? Decided just to charge into the cabin, and the next thing you know, he's down unconscious on the ground, and I have to run in and save him. And I don't know, sometimes I think the recklessness might be a little too much.
Well, I suppose you two balance each other out well enough, but I would lean more on your side than on his, though I cannot put one down for enthusiasm until it leads to danger.
Yes, well, that is one thing Brez never lacks, is enthusiasm.
Very true.
So, Varnas, I wanted to ask you, normally when one signs up for the Golden Shields, they're free to leave whenever, and I know that your disagreement several months ago with the captain over a certain course of action that he told you to take, and things got a little ugly there, and I was just wondering if you ever thought of leaving anytime soon.
Well, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a thought that played at the back of my mind, but despite my disagreements with some of those in charge, I find that I'm still able to accomplish more of the objectives that I desire with a group, even if there's disagreements, than if I would by myself. A captain of a ship is a great thing, but he is a fool if he thinks that the first mate, the cannoneers, the crew are not necessary. And right now, I believe I still need a crew.
Yes, I suppose that is, I suppose you're correct.
But one day, I would like to move on and perhaps do something of my own. I just don't know if I'm ready yet. Not that I'm getting any younger by any means.
Yes. What would you do? I only ask because, I mean, in all honesty, and she kind of, her voice becomes a little hushed, and she says, I've been thinking about doing the same thing. It's just been such a big part of my life for the past, well, for me, almost 5 years now. And it's hard for me to even remember what life was like before constant sailing and danger and gold. I don't even know what I'd want to do.
Well, let me ask you this. In terms of this line of work, what is it that you enjoy the most out of it? What keeps you waking up to do it every day?
I mean, in all honesty, it's the sightseeing. I never... Growing up, being where I'm from, studiousness and teaching is ingrained in my culture, and I always read about these places, and I always read how magnificent and how wonderful they were, and I thought that they would never live up to my expectations, ever.
Hmm.
And then I saw them, and I cannot begin to express the pure euphoria and elation I received when I finally got to see the Gemstone Archipelago and the crown of the world in all of its glory. I thought, well, that's just some dumb big rock, and then I saw it. And it was so much more than I could have ever imagined.
Well, perhaps if you keep working hard, you can find yourself some people that you trust who depend on you, and you can depend upon them, and maybe you can all come together and make your own way. You know, I'd like my own ship someday. Maybe we could sightsee the world together.
That sounds very nice, Varnest.
You know Brez has to come, though, right?
Honestly, and she sort of gives you like a knowing, lazy-eyed look and says, I wouldn't have it any other way.
I know you wouldn't.
Varnest, before we get to Sunken City Bay, I do want you to know that Brez, come over here. And he's still, you look up, and he's still looking around going, Captain, did you need some... Oh, okay, yeah, I'll come down. I'll come, okay. And you see him grunt a little
like
bit.
the best NPC I've ever met already.
And he makes his way down the steps and back to the two of you, and he says, so, what's going on? You guys having fun over here? Oh, just loads of it, darling. Just so much fun. So much fun. Listen, Varnest, Brez and I have been talking for a while behind your back, so I'm sorry for that. In advance. I know.
How dare you?
I know. We're terrible. Absolutely awful people.
The worst.
The worst indeed. But we know that you've had a dream of leaving, and then frankly it's been something that's been more pertinent these past few months, but, well, Brez and I have started saving up some of our wages, and I think after this job, considering how crazily this job pays, I think that we might be able to leave, and the three of us would be able to afford our own ship, a crew, and leave the Golden Shields. And if that's something you'd like to do, Brez and I would love to have you aboard our ship.
Well, this is a immensely kind offer. One that I believe only a fool would turn down. And I am many things, but I am not a fool.
And Brez pipes up and he says, yeah, you are!
Good one, Brez. You got me.
Thank you. I'm really proud of myself. And Dara just...
But Varnast extends his hand first to Doris, and she's making the offer.
Okay.
You can count on me, as you always have.
Good. And she shakes, and as you're shaking hands, Brez is like, oh, that's so stupid, and he, like, tackles both of you into, like, a standing hug, and just, like, squeezes around both of your necks as he stands maybe a few inches taller than you, even, and almost a foot taller than Dara, and just kind of like, oh, I'm so excited. Oh.
All right, I still need to breathe in order to accept this deal.
Yeah, okay, all right, sorry. Okay, well, we need to get there then. Let's speed this show up, huh? Can we get going a little faster? I mean, hey, I guess that's not how ships work, right? I don't exactly know. It's carried by the wind, right? That's the thing with ships.
And the waves. Perhaps Acadia and Estitia will be kind enough to speed us along our way.
Oh yeah, I remember Estitia from earlier. That was the one who she like diligent people, right?
Yes, that is her.
All right, I think I'm getting there. It's pretty diligent of me.
Yes, well done.
And the three of you share a modest laugh, and then share a few more drinks. And eventually, night comes, you rest, and with your passive perception, you are alerted in the middle of the night, just for a moment, as you can see Brez and Adara. You kind of wake up in the middle of the night and like very lazy-eyed as you're still kind of half awake, half asleep.
Yeah.
And you can see the two of them awake, moving around, and they actually walk past your little hammock.
Okay.
Yeah, underneath the ship, and you can see the captain with them, escorting them upstairs.
Hmm.
And there's talking for a moment, and you at this point you begin to rub your eyes, and eventually you sort of swing up and look around, and you can see they're still not there. And a few more moments, there's a little bit of disagreement, and before you can even begin to make your way towards the stairs to talk or to listen closer, they are already coming back down the stairs. You can see Brez is kind of doe-eyed, and Dara's brow is furrowed, and she looks so angry. And as they walk past you, seeing that you're awake, they give you a half-hearted smile and go back to bed, honest.
Everything all right?
And Brez, he sort of, yeah, everything's fine. Just apparently the captain heard what we were talking about earlier, and well, he said that just as a warning that we need to save that kind of talk for after we leave. He doesn't want that type of talk happening on the ship. So, yeah, because it was our idea, apparently we were the ones who got in trouble for it. It wasn't that bad. It was just a verbal warning this time. Apparently he was having a good night tonight, unlike most nights.
Well, I suppose I could understand. He probably worries if anyone overheard us, morale would lower if, three of its best were talking about what we were discussing, but seems a little harsh, but I can respect the opinion even if I disagree with the outcome.
Yeah. Alright, well, night, Vernest.
Good night.
And you can see Dara's already made her way over to her hammock and crawls up, and Brez does the same. You do return to sleep, and your dreams are normally clear, and they're normally crashing waves on a coast.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not sure what, but something is coming. A storm, perhaps. Literal or metaphorical, but your dreams are full of thunder, lightning, monsoons, and tsunamis. Just constant chaos and crashing, thundering, and booming.
All right.
You wake up the next morning, and you know that tonight is when you'll be docking in Sunken City Bay to attack. There's an electric energy aboard the ship. Some people are excited to give these pirates what they really deserve. Other people are nervous, newer recruits who are afraid to die. There is so much conflicting energy here that it is just bizarre to be a part of. You take it in for what it is. You do your preparation for battle that is common to you. And the rest... oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were asking if I did. My bad. Go on.
Oh, well, yeah. Is there anything in specific you wanted to do?
Yeah, so Varnast being, up there in years, he's only like 43, so early 40s, but still, he's lived long enough for a human, especially someone who does this kind of work. So he definitely has his patterns. He prays to the gods that he worships, but the main thing that he always does is he always goes through and he thoroughly cleans all of his equipment because
Okay.
he never wants there to be anything. So, polishing his sword, making sure his shield's up to snuff, making sure his armor's sturdy. He just always like triple checks that stuff before something big like this.
Okay. Makes sense to me. So you do your necessary preparations, make sure everything is clean and spotless, and in an odd set of circumstances, you can see that maybe there was more than just a talking to that happened, as it seems like Brez and Dara are actively trying to avoid you, where they normally before a battle they would try and make digs at each other, the three of you get each other amped up and focused, but it seems as though even when you see one or the other, they're never next to each other. It seems as though the three of you are like in a constant moving triangle where no three people are ever next to each other. It's just always distance.
I just chalk it up to they don't want to get in trouble again, even if we're not talking about what we talked about. So I give them their space.
Okay. So, you make your way, and eventually night comes, and you wait for a signal. There is a specific signal that you were told is eventually the northwestern corner of the city would catch flame. And that was your signal to dock, unload, and wreak havoc.
Right.
The goal is to capture as many pirates as possible and to kill as few as possible. The money that you're being paid to capture the city will be doubled if you're able to capture as many pirates as possible as opposed to killing them. They're worth much more alive than dead.
Right.
So, you sit on the edge of the bay, right in where the darkness shrouds you enough so that any oncoming lookers won't be able to see you. And eventually you see the flames ignite, the ship, the sails drop, you move on to the dock, and eventually the wooden platforms, they slide out, and you begin to run out. You can hear different people yelling, screaming. There are so many people who are just, like I said, yelling and screaming, and you can hear people, the clashing of swords, the firing of cannons, pistols, crossbows, bows and arrows, catapults. You can hear stone crashing into stone and wood. These noises, just a cacophony of anything and everything. You immediately rush off of the ship, sword and shield in hand, ready to do what you need to do. You begin to run and dash through different alleyways trying to find people, but where the captain told you to go, you don't find any pirates at all. None. This corner of the city is abandoned and you're the only one here. And you look around and you just try and find something, and then you hear a voice come from behind you, maybe 5 or 10 feet. So, a little bird has told me that you don't like the way I do things.
I quickly turn around, sword still drawn,
Okay.
unless I recognize the voice.
You don't necessarily recognize the voice, but you recognize her as soon as you see her. Grayed red hair, golden armor, shield, and long sword. Agatha Durandon, the leader of the Golden Shields. That's quite all right with me if you don't like the way I do things. I've always been open to feedback. And as soon as you are about to open your mouth, you can feel 2 sets of arms come up behind you and grab you, knocking your shield and sword out of your hands. And as you look to your left and your right, you can see Brez and Dara hold you, with sadness and angst in their eyes. And then Agatha speaks up again. She says, actually, you know what? You know what's better than feedback, Varnast? Obedience. And Obedience leads to respect, and with the respect of soldiers, you have power. And do you know what you have none of right now? Power. Do you want to see how little? Brez, I want you to slit half of his throat. Dara, finish the job. I want him to know that power and a willingness to listen, to do the disgusting things as life, is what got me here. Even giving orders to so-called best friends. That means nothing. Because you mean nothing to me, Varnast. You are a nobody from a ramshackled thatch roof house in the middle of goddamn nowhere. And as she finishes that, you can feel the blade sink into your throat and begin to cut halfway across. And as soon as it gets to about your Adam's apple, the dragging stops. You feel the hand loosen and another hand grab it. And begin to finish the job. As the cold blade runs across your throat, you can feel yourself gasp for air, but all you feel is your lungs fill with liquid. As Dara grabs the blade from Brez's hand, and as she looks to you in what she would believe were your last moments, you can see tears well in her eyes. And the blade finally comes away from your skin, and the last thing you remember is spit landing on your face.
And that's it for me in this game. It was nice playing. Thank you for having me. It's great.
So, sinking in the mud, resigned, you wish for a million different things, and in this bizarre moment, you feel one of them answered. To be submerged in cold salt water one last time. Your body is pushed off of this dock and into the bay. Darkness consumes you, and cold envelops you. An explosion of thunder and a crack of lightning shock you awake. Your eyes shoot open, and you're above ground.
I quickly look around to try and see where I am.
So as you look around, you're in a jungle surrounded by mist, sitting in a small pond. You grab your neck that was once open, and those wounds are closed. You can feel them scarred, but that wound is closed. And in a moment, you see in front of you this ethereal wolf appear. Pale blue, and it has the kindly eyes of an elderly woman. One of the paws raise up and lightly taps you on your forehead. Four faces pass before your eyes. A woman of angelic skin and brown hair. She is followed by a cloud of purple smoke. You see a man with purple skin and curved horns. He is in a constant state of worry and chaos. You see a woman with reddish-brown skin and hair decorated with ornaments. She wears the veil of a leader, but you can still see a scared little girl underneath. Finally, you see a woman with light cream skin and eyes as dark as night. She feels full of hatred, but in this moment, this moment of clarity, you can feel there might still be love deep down. As you regain full consciousness, the wolf is gone. The mist dissipates, and on the other end of the pond, oddly enough, you see a small gnomish man who stands there wearing leathers and cloth of green and brown layered on top of one another, with a large farmer's hat around his head, and he gives you a small wave and a smile, and he says, well, hi there. My name is Boomy. um, so, hello. Well, I figured I should let you know at least a little bit. Well, I found you on the coast, and well, there were some birds that were pecking at you, and well, didn't seem like the best way to go, so I thought maybe I'd bring you here and see if maybe I don't know, something might be able to help a little bit. And
Oh, sorry, go on.
you can just see him sort of, he just keeps on talking, and he's like, well, so yeah, yeah.
I slowly lift a finger and like point at my neck, and I'm like, "Did you fix this?"
Oh, sadly, no. I'm not one for medicines and miracles. I'm more of nature and animals.
Do I feel like any? Because like I know like how many spells I'm able to cast. Do I feel like any of my magic has left my body? Like maybe I subconsciously healed myself, even in like my whacked out state.
No, you went into the raid of Sunken City Bay, fully charged, and you can feel yourself still brimming with magical energy. Hi, Jamie. So, what do you want to do?
Well, I start to. Oh, first do I look? Do I have my stuff with me, or is it gone?
No, your stuff is waterlogged, but it's still there.
All right, good enough. My stuff is usually waterlogged, so that's fine.
Oh, wait,
I
Jamie.
will
Oh.
walk over to the gnome, but like at a gentle pace because I do not want to alarm him.
Okay.
You said gnome, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Gnomish
cool.
man. Yeah. And as you approach, he just kind of smiles a little bigger, sort of waves. Hi.
And when I'm about 5 feet away from him, I get down on one knee and bow my head, and I just say, "Thank you for showing kindness. It's something I have not been shown recently. It is grateful and accepted. I am Varnast," and I extend my hand to him.
Okay. He shakes it just happily. Nice to meet you, Varnast. As I said, my name's Boomy.
"'Tis an honor."
Well, it's an honor to meet you. Most of the time, people just kind of, they kind of make fun of me a little bit for my funny-looking hat. So it's nice to see when somebody says it's an honor to meet me. Well, Varnast, I'd hate to leave you out in the jungle all alone. Is there some place I can maybe take you to, point you in the right direction of?
And I look around, and I mean, I have absolutely no idea where I am, right?
Oh, yeah, no idea. It is jungle for miles around you.
What's the nearest town here, or port?
Well, the nearest port is maybe an hour or two that way. Sunken City Bay, I think is what the people call it.
What's that way? And I point the opposite direction he just pointed.
Oh, well, and as you're pointing above his head, he kind of like moves your finger maybe about 2 inches to the right. That
Right.
way is a place called the Colorful Cauldron Inn. And, well, that place, there's a building there, and some of the people are really nice. I mean, if you're looking for people in a bed to sleep in that's not filled with moss and twigs, that's probably your best bet.
It'll be a good start. I have much I need to do. Are you heading that direction?
Oh, I head any way I want to. I can show you the way if you'd like.
If you would not mind, it would be greatly appreciated.
Oh, of course, of course. I will let you know though. The woman who's in charge there, she's put a protection stave around the surrounding area. So when you're about maybe an hour or two away, I won't be able to help you get any closer. But you should be able to find your way from there.
Why would it allow me in and not you?
Oh, well, the woman who runs it, her and I have had some disagreements. But, provided you stay there no longer than a day, and you make sure to talk about how you got a lot of friends and family coming around who should be there soon, you'll be fine.
Strange, but I shall take your judgment on the matter. Thank you. If you would help me get there, it would be most appreciated.
Yeah, of course, of course. And he starts to walk off in the direction, and you can see him just kind of like uncomfortable. Like he moves his shoulders back and forth, and you can see he's a little tense, and he's like, okay, all right. And as you're just walking and like moving over these like large tree trunks and moving through brush and foliage, he says, all right, so I wasn't exactly 100% honest. I mean, I just wasn't exactly telling the truth. All of it, at least. The woman, she's not really like a real woman. She's actually, well, hag isn't the right word, but, it's kind of like that. She's kind of like that. And when people who come to that, the inn, 99% of the people are fine. But if there's ever a time a person comes in and they say that, oh, I'm just traveling by myself and really not very many people know I'm here, and other things like that, they usually wind up dead, and then people don't know what happens to the bodies. But I have a funny feeling, because I know who the woman is, that the bodies, they wind up dead in the street, and then she says she'll take care of them, and then, well, the next part I don't like to want to talk about, because it doesn't sound very nice. But, like I said, you should be fine as long as you just say, oh, hey, I've got a big family coming along, and everybody knows I'm here from back in the city. You should be fine.
So she's killing innocents, you say?
Oh, yeah. A lot of them. Has been for about, maybe 9-10 years. Sadly, it's hard for me to do anything because, well, I'm not exactly the most aggressive person, and, I can't exactly hurt people. So...
I see.
Yeah.
Well, fear not. And that's all I say on the matter.
Oh, well,
As I walk with a little bit of renewed purpose.
okay. Alright, well, if you say so. Okay. And the two of you begin your journey, and it goes on for about 3 days of you just walking through jungle. He sort of conjures up these twigs and leaves to, like, lead you up to the like, halfway up this big tree, and then makes all of the twigs and leaves and branches disappear, and sort of creates this small little cocoon for you on these trees anytime you have to sleep to make sure that you're safe.
Mm-hmm.
And on the second night, only about a half day's journey until you get to the Colorful Cauldron Inn. As you're in this cocoon, you're looking up at the stars, just trying to get an idea of where you are, and just thinking and reflecting. You swear that in the moonlight you see a glint of some type of metal, maybe 5 feet above you. If you were to stand up on the branch, you could probably get a better look at it.
I will do so.
Okay. So you stand up, and you can see wedged inside of this small hole, what looks like maybe a squirrel lived there once, is a small metal box. It's covered in moss and mold, but there still are some parts of it that are, still untouched by the elements, that are maybe silver or steel, something like that. A more whitish gray metal.
All right, I will gently kind of sweep the moss off and try and pull the box out of this little hole.
Okay, and easy enough. It just kind of slips out. There's no strings or anything attached, and the box isn't even locked. It's just latched shut.
All right, curiosity getting the better of me, I choose to open it.
Okay. So you open it and you see 3 items. You see a small note, a golden key, and a music box. And the music box is maybe as big as your palm, with a small crank on the side of it.
Okay. I'll read the note first.
Okay. So the note, there's a note. There's handwriting sort of scribbled and scrawled on each side. On the first side, it says, Fadina, Liam, and I'll paste this in the chat for you.
Okay.
Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and create a handout, because I don't want people to see it when they get in the game.
Good call.
Put it in the items here. Handout. So, box. Add to Ryan's journal. Okay, so there is the note. So side 1 of the note says, Favana, Liam, I am so sorry I could not move past this. I love you both. I want you to know I always found comfort in this music. And then the other side of the note says...
I'm sorry, where is this in my journal?
Sorry, I need to finish editing it real quick.
Oh, okay, no worries. Keep going then. Sorry, I just was like, where? I don't see it.
That's okay. It'll be in the items tab.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. It should be in the items tab now.
Got it.
Yep, the other side says, Duncan, I'm sorry for what I did to Rose. This book has driven me past my limit. I never wanted any of this. You were like a brother to me, and I betrayed that. Then there is the other items. Then there is the music box and golden key. There we go. Alrighty. Cool. There you go. So, you open the box and you can see those 3 items there.
Okay. So, looking at the key, it doesn't look like it would fit on the music box. It looks like it's for something else.
Yeah, it is definitely a more hefty key, maybe for some type of lock, maybe, or a door. The music box doesn't even have like a little hatch for it to open and close. It's just got the crank on the side.
I will tuck the key safely away, and then I will crank the lever.
Okay, so as you do, it's a really simple, really simple music box, and it just makes a small collection of notes. This.
Is that based on something? Because that sounds so familiar to me.
I don't know.
Okay, never mind.
Okay.
It sounds familiar, but maybe my mind just wants it to be familiar.
I don't know. Maybe it's familiar to me too, and my brain doesn't know either. And it's like,
Fair enough.
it's like, to me, I'm like, yeah, I came up with that. But then my brain's like, no, you didn't.
What's Boomy doing while I'm doing this?
As you sort of look around, Boomy actually isn't anywhere near you. It seems like anytime you go to sleep, he just kind of tells you that he'll be back when you wake up.
And so far, he has always been.
Yeah, yeah, this isn't out of character.
All right. Well, having this like moment to myself, I put the music box back into this little box just because it'll probably be safer in there while I'm traveling about and walking around a bunch. And I'll get on my knee real quick, and I'll offer a very quiet but quick prayer to Estitia, and I'll just say, "Thank you for this reminder. I will let my scars guide me, but I will not let them define me. I will not lose my way." And I end the prayer and try to go back to sleep.
Okay. You head back to sleep easy enough, and your dreams... It's no longer a thunderstorm, but you are on a coast, your feet in the sand. The waves are calm right now, but you can see darkness looming on the horizon, moving closer day by day by day. And you sit and stare. The air around you now warm and comfortable. You don't know when that darkness will arrive, but it is coming. And with that, eventually you wake up the next morning. Boomy sitting in front of you, smiling like he always is.
Good morning.
Oh, good morning. So are you ready for your next stage in your journey? Like I said, only about a half day's longer walk, and then sadly you'll be on your own.
That is quite all right. You've done more than enough already. I thank you again, and I'll stand up.
Of course, of course.
I'll also, like, kind of feeling the cut on my neck. I will realize that that's going to certainly be an attention grabber, and I'll unwrap the lucky charm that I usually just had wrapped around my arm, and I wrap it around my neck to cover and hide that instead.
Okay. Very cool, very cool. So you wrap that around, and then... LS, would you be okay with coming back in like 10 minutes?
Yep, really sorry. Did not mean to do this.
That's
You're
okay.
good.
You're good. You're good. You're good. Don't worry about it. I should have said something in the Discord. I don't know why I didn't.
It's fine.
So, you begin to make your way through the jungle with Boomy, and eventually, after about 4 hours, he stops, and you can see that even his hat is kind of like lifted up in the front now, as if it were pressed against glass. And he says, "Oh, yep, that's why I wear this, so I always know where I'm not allowed to go." Well, if you just keep heading, there is a line of trees about right here. If you just keep following that, you're going to reach a small cliff, go around to the right side, and you should find yourself at the Colorful Cauldron Inn.
Thank you. And I reach out and I hand him 10 gold coins, or I hold it out to him at least.
Oh, no. Sorry, I don't use gold or silver or copper. Listen, if you ever find any interesting berries or animals or insects, I'd be more than happy to take a look at those. But no gold for me, sorry.
Well, I'm afraid I have none on me, but should we meet again and I do, they will be yours, and I will keep you in my prayers.
Yes, Estitia is one of the good ones, isn't she?
That she is.
Good luck, friend. Hopefully I do see you again sometime soon.
I nod my head to him and I turn and keep walking.
Okay. So as you do, you sort of trace your arm along, or trace your hand around these trees, And for about 20, 30, 40 minutes, the walk is fine. It's the same jungle that you've been walking in this entire time. But then your feet begin to sink a little bit. And not in water, but mud and sludge.
Ugh.
And it is dark. Even though it's midday, the area you're walking seems to be shrouded in darkness, in all honesty. There is just a general feeling to the air that is tense and uncomfortable.
I try to keep my wits about me and not have my guard lowered, because I've had one too many people sneak up from behind me as of late.
Exactly.
A lesson I will not soon forget.
Correct. And you keep looking behind you for people, for anyone you can find. And you're so focused looking behind you and looking in front of you and looking to your sides, you forget how hard it is to keep an eye on your own feet when they're about 2 feet beneath this sludge. And in a moment, you feel pressure on your ankle and a snap. And before you can even react, you are hoisted up into the middle of the air, hanging by your foot. You try and cut at the rope as much as you can, but it just keeps deflecting off of your sword, is being deflected off of this rope. And you don't know how, but then you hear this humming. Well, I already planned on eating once tonight. Twice will be fine, too.
I try to turn to see if I can find the source of this voice and humming.
As you do, right, you're trying to twist and contort your body just to get momentum to spin around, and eventually you do. And looking upside down at this grotesque woman, she has skin, even in this form, similar to that woman whose face you saw in your vision with the wolf, that reddish brown skin, but it's almost like it's been dyed green and looks infected. And her hair is white and matted with sludge and slime. And she stands maybe 6.5 feet tall, just hunched and contorted. And it looks like part of her hand and shoulders are burned. And all around her, now looking about, you can see these, almost, it looks like the bark peeling off the trees, but then you see that bark take flight and begin to land on top of you. And you can feel the tiny legs just sort of digging into your skin a little bit as you feel them grab onto you, and you feel yourself become paralyzed with fear and something else, and you are immobilized. And then eventually, as there are about 10 or 12 of these humongous butterflies on top of you, you're just lifted up and carried. And she turns back around to you, still looking upside down at her, and she says, You know, I typically do it with the pigs, where I bleed them out while they're still living. I've never tried that with one of you. I'm sure it will be delicious. And as she turns back around, you can see this humongous tree standing in front of you. Gnarled and twisted. You're brought in through pools of blood and twisting vines strung up above a boiling pot. And just left there. As she leaves and says, I have other things I need to do, but believe me, I'll be back for you. And as her voice settles like creaking wood on an old building, she makes her way out, and you can see her skin turn from that sickly, disgusting, burned green to that reddish brown. Her arms and hands are restored to normal. Her hair is normal and white, shoulder length. She wears clean robes and tunics, that of that woman that you saw that vision of, and walks unhunched and free of movement out of this tree and towards where Boomy told you to walk. And then we'll go ahead and pick up there in, like,
Shortly.
yeah, 10 minutes or so.
Woohoo! Well, it seems like everyone's ready.
Yeah, right. Okay. Same.
I guess Cat's kind of out of the bag now.
It's okay. Maybe they just think, I don't know. Sarah probably thinks that it's something's a little more, something might be up this session, but I guess we'll see what happens. Hey,
Yeah.
hey,
Stay away.
y'all. You can join now. Whoops.
Sorry about that.
All right, so let me go ahead and stop this